What's up, guys? Good morning, ain't it? It's a happy Tuesday. The Dolphins are back this week, and boy, oh boy, this bye week couldn't have gone any better for the Dolphins. First and foremost, they're back and getting healthier. Devon Achane got activated from IR, and he's going to be coming back this week. A bunch of guys that have been banged up had the week off to get healthier. Jalen Waddle being one of them. He's been banged up the last few games. Good to see him getting healthier, along with Jalen Ramsey. Played 2 games after coming back. He's going to, get a little bit better, use that rest. Xavier Howard, he's been banged up. All these guys that have been banged up got their rest. They're back at practice, and they're hungry. They're hungry. And a good reason. Every single team that is a leader of their division lost this weekend except the Chiefs. The Chiefs also on a bye week, but Baltimore lost. Jacksonville lost. Everyone in our division lost. The Bills lost in an amazing fashion, and I think they won't even make the playoffs at this point. We'll get back to that in a second. The Jets lost in also a heartbreaking fashion. Dang, all of them lost in a heartbreaking fashion. How about that? Even the Patriots lost in a heartbreaking fashion. Fake Spike trying to do his Dan Marino impression in Germany and just threw it up into the middle of nowhere to get intercepted. And yeah, guys, this was a great bye week. The Bills, they're just falling apart all over, man. I've been saying, the reason that they haven't been good the second half of the season is because they're so reliant on that defense, but that defense being so riddled with injuries and they don't have the same depth that they're used to having. It is so bad over there. And to have a bad defense with bad depth with a defensive head coach, his head might be on the chopping block this season. Stephon Diggs frustrated once again. His brother sent out a tweet saying, "Get 14 up out of there, man." And honestly, I can't disagree. What are we watching? That was abysmal. You get a sack to take the Broncos out of field goal range. Then you create a pass interference. Then they kneel it twice and then have to run on the field because they don't have a timeout because of your sack. And then they miss the field goal. But then you have 12 men on the field. Your head coach has a defensive and special teams background. You were supposed to be one of the best special teams and defenses in the league, and you're not well coached enough to have 12 men on the field to be prepared for that. And it's not like you didn't see it coming. They were kneeling the ball. It's not like, oh, this is a trick field goal. No, they were telling you they were going to do it. So to have 12 men on the field, that's just absolutely unacceptable. And then they give them a free shot, pretty much, at another field goal, and they make it to beat the Bills. That was just unbelievable. Unbelievably bad coaching, unbelievably bad playing. There's so many mistakes and mental mistakes, and it's really on the coaches. If it's a talent issue, that's one thing, but when you're making issues that are pretty much coaching-based, technique-wise, scheme-wise, that 100% on your coach. And they don't have an easy schedule going forward. In fact, they have the 3rd toughest schedule for the rest of the season. They're at home against the Jets next week, but then they go on the road to Philly. They're not going to win that one. They lost against the Jets earlier this season in New York with Zach Wilson playing the entire game pretty much. So that's not even like a given that they're going to be the Jets. They're going to lose to the Eagles. They're going to lose to the Chiefs. They play the Cowboys at home, and at this rate, I don't think they can stop the Cowboys' offense. They're going to lose to the Cowboys. They play at the Chargers. Chargers have been absolutely just demoralizing losses this year. I think they have 2 games that they won that weren't within a score, and then every single game that they lost have been within a score. So the Chargers, just absolute heartbreakers over there, but this Bills defense ain't the same. I kind of like the Chargers in that. Then they play the Patriots. Who knows what's going on with the Patriots? Only have 2 wins, but one of those wins also against Buffalo. So could it possibly, it's a heads-up toss to me. I'm probably taking the Bills there, and then they play at Miami, and they're not stopping this offense. With what? They have one good player on defense right now that's not injured, and that's Von Miller, and he's still working his way back from his ACL injury from late last year. Like, the entire game that they played us, like, Trey White got injured on the very last defensive play that they had. That's when he tore his Achilles. And from that play on, it's been absolutely downhill for the Bills. Just absolutely downhill. The amount of injuries is absolutely insane. But it's just coaching over and over and over again. I don't think the Bills are making the playoffs. I see them winning a max of 3 games the rest of the season. I see them beating the Jets. I could see them beating the Chargers. And I can see them beating the Patriots. The max of 3 wins the rest of the season. You know what that leaves them at? That leaves them at 8-9. They're not making the playoffs at 8-9. I can tell you that right now. Now the Dolphins, on the other hand, the Dolphins don't play another team over 500 until the third to last week of the season. On Christmas Eve, we play the Cowboys. Then we go on the road to the Ravens, and then we come back home against the Bills. Who knows if the Bills are at 500 at that point? They might be under 500. They might be at 500. So who knows? We could possibly only play 2 teams over 500 the rest of the season. This is a perfect bye week for the Dolphins. It's just absolutely perfect bye week. The Bills are crumbling. The Bills dynasty, if you want to call it, Dex, they haven't won anything worth mentioning, is crumbling as we're watching. The Patriots, we're the only team to sweep them this year. They have beaten both the Jets and the Bills. That's their only 2 wins on the season, by the way. The Jets could be getting Rodgers back for the second game that we play them. He's targeting a mid-December return. But who knows if he comes back if they're not in playoff contention, if they lose the next few games. Like right now, they're sitting in the 13th seed at 4-5. They're at the Bills next week, then at home against us. Then they have some winnable games after that. They have the Falcons and Texans. So maybe they're 6-7 at that point. If they can beat the Texans really good offense. CJ Stroud looking sharp. They play the Commanders. That could be a win. They could possibly be at, if he's back against the Browns, they could possibly be at 9-8 and overtake the Bills in the AFC East. It's actually quite crazy. Right now, the Dolphins are still, regardless of everybody else losing in the conference or the division heads, they're still sitting in the 4th seed. The reason being is strength of victory. Tied with Jacksonville currently for 3rd, 4th. Jacksonville beats us in strength of victory, and that's what propels them. We don't play Jacksonville head-to-head, but Jacksonville kind of looking up and down. As of late, they got their ass absolutely handed to them by the 49ers. Let's look at their schedule real quick. They don't have a necessarily easy schedule, not necessarily hard as well. Titans, Texans. Titans should be a win. Texans, 50-50 to me. Bengals, hard. Browns, hard. Ravens, hard. Bucks, easy. Panthers, easy. Titans, 50-50 once again. So they have a pretty, it's kind of split like the Dolphins. Like they have their hard games, but they have their easy games. All of them winnable. It's not like you can't really count. They're very similar to Dolphins. You can't count them out of any game, but you can't necessarily be like, oh yeah, they're 100% beating this team. It's just how it is. So yeah, it's the Dolphins could possibly by this time next week be the 3 seed, maybe tied for the 2nd seed. We're not going to be overtaking Kansas City because of the head-to-head, unless we're beating them with record. But the most important thing here is going to be that the Dolphins are going to need home field games because I don't want to rely on a wild card spot. I rather play, right now it's Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Houston. As good as Houston's playing, I rather play Houston, Cleveland, Pittsburgh than Jacksonville, Baltimore, or Kansas City. Just what it is. It's not like I'm scared of those teams. I rather play at home against these teams than play away at those teams. You know? It's what it is. Dolphins, perfect bye week. Getting healthier, have a good 5 games ahead of us with the Raiders, the Jets, the Commanders, the Jets, and then the Titans before we go on our last 3 games, which is pretty brutal. Hopefully, next 5 games, all wins, can go into the last 3 games, 11-3. We'll see what happens. All right, guys, I'll catch you later. Deuces.